All right, so here we go. I'm just gonna share my screen and we can get started. Whoa. All right, can everybody see the presentation?
All good.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. So welcome to the top 10 OGX call on platforms. Woo! Yay! Wow, you guys are so excited. Man, that's boring. So we will introduce ourselves in 1 second. Here we go. This bearded wonder is.
Hey guys, I'm Alexis Fernandez. I'm 21 years old. I've been in Isaac for 2 years now, and I'm the current VP OGV of Isaac in Miami, as well as a network manager on the NFT for OGV.
And I am Dylan. I am 22 years old. I've also been in ISAC for 2 years. I'm the current VP OGET of ISAC in New York City. I did an exchange in mainland of China, and I'm on the OGET national support team as a network manager as well. So just to kind of make sure you guys know what we're going to go over today, when we mean platforms, we're talking about the online systems that we use and how you can utilize them in order to better perform exchange. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about Podio, what it is, and how you can convert EPs who come in on Podio and put them over to Expa. And we'll talk a little bit about Podio audits as well. Then Alexis will talk about Expa and how you can get to know the ins and outs of Expa through tracking EPs, getting to know how you can track your analytics and processing, and how you can help members sign up on Expa and how they can get ISAC emails. Then he'll also go into talk about tech management with trackers and lead nurturing. And then we'll just close it out. So let's get started. First things first, though, make sure you are paying attention. Take notes on anything you feel that is necessary. Especially this call, is extremely important for you to be able to, perform your job throughout the next year. If you do have any questions, please ask them in the comment box. Alexis, while I have this in full screen, could you just please let me know if anybody asks a question, or you can go ahead and answer it right away.
Yep.
And then everybody, if we do have a question that we're posing to you guys, please keep the answers in the question box. We do have a lot of people here tonight, so we don't want everybody talking over each other. So yeah. And obviously this is very important. Take this very seriously, because what you guys do now will determine the success of the first quarter of your term. A lot of your preparation that you're doing in this month and the next month will have a big impact on the performance and the pipeline that you leave yourself for the beginning of your term. So please take it seriously. Now let's get going. First, I'm going to talk about Podio. So why do we use Podio, and how does it help us to have a separate system from Expo? I'm hoping that these are some questions that you're going to be able to understand by the time I'm done with my section. So we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of Podio. So what is Podio? Podio is our customer relationship management tool, or CRM. And with the basics of it, you can see that there are different workspaces. So at the top left, you can see that here we're in the outgoing exchange workspace. All of ISAC US uses Podio, and there are different workspaces for outgoing exchange, incoming exchange, finance. Every function has their different workspace. Within each workspace, you could see at the top in that gray bar, there are different apps. Now, this is just kind of how Podio organizes the different activities that you can do within each workspace. So why do we use Podio? Mainly, we use it for any initial applications that people are sending in. Not everybody applies directly through Expa. Some people have the link that we have that goes through Podio. We also use it for EP tracking, as I mentioned before, audits, and we also do have some resources on there. Sometimes when we're running a campaign, we may have some of the marketing resources on there. or that may be where we're sending people directly to apply, so we can help match them easier. Now, let's say we get somebody from from Podio. How do we convert them to Expo? What do we do when we get these applicants? So first, you're going to be in your outgoing exchange workspace. And you can see right there that there's an application for OGX Applicants 2016. This will have all of the different people who have signed up through Podio from this year. So you can see at the background of this, that's kind of what the page would look like, and it would say everything. Now, the easiest way to look through for your EPs is to use the filters. You can use that little funnel right there. And the filters that I think are easiest to use in order to make sure that you're finding the right EPs and you're not working on somebody else's EPs is to filter by your local committee. And then you can get even more specific and filter by your program. So if you're the VP OGV, you can just select the Global Volunteer Program, and only people who selected the Global Volunteer Program, as well as your LC, will pop up. So here you can see this is what it looks like when I selected my EPs for New York City for the Global Entrepreneurs and Talent Programs. So for each Podio application, it'll have the EP's name and contact info, what university they attend, what city they currently reside in, what program they're interested in, whether it's Global Talent, Global Entrepreneur, or Global Volunteer, as well as desired areas of impact. So this is more in terms of Global Volunteer, but what type of project they want to go on. There also is something more related to the business skills that they have as well, which would be more for the Global Talent Program. So it really does help for both programs, and it doesn't really favor one over the other. So anybody can really apply through Podio. It also has when they would like to go abroad, what entity partners they're interested in doing their exchange with. Like I said, any skills that they have and languages that they speak, as well as their CV or resume, as you guys may know it now. And it does have a few more information that can help both you as well as the MC in terms of tracking and getting to know who's actually applying for our opportunities. Don't forget, it also has their internal status on their Podio application. So make sure you're tracking that and you're keeping it updated throughout the entire process. This is really important because you just clicking what stage of the customer flow that they're in lets the MC know where they are. And you'll see kind of why that is important in a little bit in terms of the MC being able to track what the EPs are actually doing in terms of activity and how you, as the VP, are handling these incoming EPs. So after receiving an application, what should you do? Well, first, after somebody applies, the MC reviews the application and they tag the VP of the nearest LC. So let's say somebody from somewhere around Miami applies through Podio and they check that they're interested in Global Volunteer. The MC, most likely in this case Rosie, would tag Alexis and let him know that he has a new applicant. Now the LC has 48 hours to contact this EP. By contact, you can send an email, usually just welcoming them, congratulating them on their interest in joining ISIC, and setting up a meeting. So you guys know that in all your meetings, always bring sample projects and help them set up their Expo account either in that meeting or even before that meeting if you can. So the EP creates that account and they apply to opportunities, and then from there it's business as usual. They're just like any other EP, and you just help them throughout the process. They're assigned an EP manager, and everything was normal. Now, what I mentioned before, in terms of updating the status of where they are in the process, this is really important because remember that if you don't contact your EPs or you don't mark it off as contacted, the MC will reallocate EPs who haven't been contacted within the past 48 hours. So it's very important that we're being as timely as we can with contacting our EPs. Now, audits. You guys may or may not know what the OGX audits are. But hopefully after this, you have an idea of what they actually mean and how we complete an audit. So the OGX audits, as per compendium, we're required to submit a monthly EP audit. So all we really need to do is log each EP that we've approved and provide a few background details. It's not too difficult. You'll see the ins and out of it more, I believe, on the next slide. But it is something that's required, and as you can tell through the compendium, it is one of our bylaws. Now, more information on the audits and why we do them will be in our next call, which is going to be, it's going to include a topic on governance. So how do you get to these audits? Back at the beginning of the outgoing exchange workspace, right at the top bar, next to the OGX applicants, you'll see the OGV audit. Next to that is the OGT audit, which I have selected here. So you can just click into one of those, and it basically is a similar setup as the OGX applicants, only instead of the EPs creating these forms, it's us creating these forms. So what you'll have to do is you'll see a green button on your right-hand side. It's pretty easy. You're not going to miss it. That just says Add New EP. So you're going to do that for each EP that you've approved within that month. So you only have to do this once a month. At the end of the month, make sure that you're getting everybody in so that everybody's logged each month. All you have to do is fill out the required information, rinse and repeat for each EP, and that's it. So some of that required info includes what LC they're coming from, the EP's name and contact info, EP manager name, expo profile link, opportunity link, the date they were approved, where they're going to go, what type of project they're doing, confirmation and proof that they've done OPS, ISOS, and STEP. So these things are super important. It's the way that the MC can really track that not only that we're working towards the partnerships that they've been creating with the entity partners and all of that, but it's also a way of tracking to see when we're approving EPs, when is our real peak operation time. And it's also a good way to ensure that we're delivering the value that we promised to EPs through OPS, ISOS, and STEP. Now, just a little bit of a note, there also is an audit for OPS materials. You'll have to submit your slideshow that you're giving to people for OPS and dates that you've given OPS. But the main one that we're talking about today is through the monthly audit of the EPs.
Quick comment on that as well. The MC does check on XBUD to compare whatever you put into the audit to make sure that the information is accurate. So if you forget to do your audit 1 month and then the MC sees that you do have EPs that approve, that can be an issue for you, and you could end up getting fined if any information is wrong when compared to the online system of XBA.
Exactly. Does anybody have any questions in terms of Podio as a whole and what we do on it, or any specific questions on how to do something on Podio?
I'm going to take 2 or 3 questions if anybody has them, and then we'll move on.
All right, is that a no then?
Sorry, I was trying to type something, but it was taking me a while. Again, yeah, sure. So this is Hannah, and I've been managing a few EPs lately. I was just wondering, will we get a notification for a new EP, or do we have to wait on? Is it just waiting on the MC to assign that EP to us?
So you won't get a notification when they initially sign up, but the MC checks it right away. Like they check it every single day. So you'll get the notification that your MCVP has tagged you in that. So basically what it is they assign you as the LC responsible. And like I said, they assign it every single day. I've gotten notifications from Kip, Amanda, and Rosie. So they just go through it, and anybody, they'll tag you right away. So you'll get a notification, but not immediately.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if nobody else has any questions, Alexis, we're going to move on to your part.
All right, cool. All right, so now we're going to talk about Expa, and I know you guys are super excited. Just click next twice, Dylan. Yeah, that's how I picture all of you guys. But after this, hopefully, you're going to be looking at Expa like, yeah, we're awesome. We're going to rock this thing. Um, All right, so tracking EPs. What are some benefits of keeping track of EPs on Expa? How does great tracking relate to great customer experience? And there are two versions of Expa, so make sure to take advantage of both and know how to manage both the regular Expa and version 1 of Expa. All right, so hopefully after this, you guys will be pros when it comes to Expa, and even when the system crashes, there are ways to get around that. Next. All right. So first on Expo, the first thing you should always check is whether or not you have any opens that have gone uncontacted. Um, Here, for example, there's one person that haven't marked contacted yet. So I'm going to mark myself as their EP manager, or somebody in my team to mark them as EP manager. If you don't have a member marked as their EP manager for any EPs, that manager will not be able to make any changes to any EP's profile. So you want to make sure to either sign yourself or somebody on your team as their manager.
Alexis, how can I find my opens?
Wait, Dylan, they're saying that it's not showing. Okay. Dylan, I think you might have to go through this because every time I talk, it goes to my screen and they don't end up seeing yours.
Oh, what you can do is you can actually just click on my screen, and that will make it the big screen on your Google Hangouts. So while I'm talking right now, you can just select the little box that says Dylan or VPOGT, whatever it says for me. You can just click on that, and even while Alexis is talking, it'll lock it on as mine being the bigger image.
Everybody good? I'm going to take silence as good. All right. So what was your question, Dylan?
How can they find out where their opens are? What filters did they use? Where did they go?
Okay, guys. So to get to here, what you need to do is at the top of your Expo screen, you'll see it says My Committee's EPs. So you just click on that and shows My EPs and My Committee's EPs. You want to make sure to click on My Committee's EPs. And when you go there, it'll show you from the most current person that has made a profile, and then so on and so on. Next. All right, so sometimes there can be difficulty assigning a member as a manager just because with the Expa, it shows everybody that has access to Expa internationally. So if you have 100 different Dylans, then it'll show all of them, and sometimes figuring out which of those Dylan is your Dylan can be difficult. But if you go to version 1, then when you try to assign EP managers, it only show people from your LC or that have Expa from your LC so that you can add them instead of having to filter through 100 different Dylans. Next. In version 1, you can also view the same information that you can in the regular version. However, here it can be easier to look at some stuff like the date instead of going profile by profile to see what date they became open. Here, it just shows you all of them right there in the first screen. However, you should be keeping track of your opens each and every single day, so you shouldn't have to go to version 1 to look at this. However, if you do have like a mass number of VPs that come in through like a day or two or even like a few days that you haven't been checking it regularly, this can be very helpful to take a look at. Next. The next thing you always want to mark an EP as is contacted. And the reason for that is that if you don't mark them as contacted, they can't move on in the process. Like they can be interviewed by the TN and everything like that, but even if they get approved, the TN can't mark them as approved until they are marked as contacted as well as interview. Also make sure to check your contacted EPs because this does show the MC that you are contacting your EPs and you're just not forgetting about them. So always need to mark them as contacted once you start to speak with an EP. There's not an optional step. You do have to do it every time. And then, like I mentioned before, as well as marking them as contacted, you do want to mark them as interviewed. One thing I would suggest is not to just mark them as interviewed right away, even if you have gotten in contact with them, just because sometimes EPs do manage to get their profile filled out and start to apply and everything. However, sometimes they're not communicating with you, and one way to get them to communicate with you is by not marking them as interview and actually waiting until they get matched by a TN, in which case they have to start communicating with you more effectively because they will need you to mark them as interviewed so that they can get accepted by the TN. Next. All right. If you click on an EP's profile, you'll be able to see all the information they have, their personal information, the qualities, and all the information they filled out, as well as any requirements they're missing still in their application to apply to an opportunity. Next. And if you go to version 1, same thing. It can be a little easier to edit their profile on version 1 than than the current version. Just because sometimes in the current version there's difficulty trying to find certain things that you need to edit. So I suggest if you're editing profiles for EPs to go to version 1. This can be very useful when meeting with an EP, especially because the opportunity portal can be a little complicated sometimes, and EPs have difficulties filling out their profile, which can be a reason why they end up getting stuck within the process. So when you meet with an EP, try to get their profiles filled out with them there in person, because this can really help them to move along the process and apply a lot quicker. Next. All right, so next we're going to talk about analytics and processing. So what is the importance of tracking analytics and processing time, and how does fast processing relate to customer experience? Next. All right, so one really cool thing about Expa is that you can check out the analytics of your LC. If you click on the top corner where it says Analytics tab, you can see the information of EPs, the EPs you've had throughout the year, throughout 30 days, or any different filter that you want on a time scale. Next. The process time analytics page gives very helpful information about how fast your LC processes EPs. Ideally, you want to make the processing time as quick as possible. If you're taking too long for an EP to go from one step to another, that can really cause your EPs to kind of lose interest. You kind of got to think about it from an EP's perspective. If you were somebody that's buying a product, you wouldn't want to wait 20 days to get something that could happen within like a day or even like a few days. The faster you make your processing time for an EP, that means going from like open to applied, so on and so on and so on, the better customer experience you're offering. Next, take a look at Uninorte, for example, from Colombia. Their processing time for the average days it takes them to accept an EP is about 4 days. It takes them about 5 days to approvals, and delivery that tends to be a little longer because that is going from approved all the way into realization. So the faster you make your processing time, the better. Next, sorry. All right, so ISIC emails and access. Next. So this is really important to go through just because if you can't give your members access to Expa, they won't be able to check on their EPs and move them through the process, get them approved and contacted and all that good stuff. So the way you get your members on Expa is pretty simple. You have to go to version 1. You can't really do it from the current version. So when you go to Expa version 1, you click on the top right hand corner on your little profile icon and you go to My Committees. Next. Then this is kind of what it looks like. It won't really look like this right away, but underneath your profile where it says edit, underneath like the little LC icon and everything, there's a part that says Teams. So you would click on Teams. It would go to this page that you're looking at right now. Then you have to make sure to filter out the year so that you're looking at your term instead of a past term that might be showing on there. Right now you're looking at mine's 2016. So you'd be able to invite members to Expa by clicking at the bottom left. You'll see right underneath all the tabs, there's things that says invite new member. And then once you click on that, there'll be another option right all the way at the bottom that says invite by email. That is the easiest and quickest way to add any members to Expa. So that is what I recommend. You just have to type in their names, what LC they're from, and their email. It'll send them an invitation to their email, and then all they have to do is create a password, and they'll have access to Expa. Next. Once they do all that, you have to make sure to add them into your team, because if you don't add them into your team, they still might get redirected to the opportunities portal instead of having direct access. So the way you do that is just you go to your function tab. You underneath your name as VPOGC, it'll show an X as well as a plus sign. Right now it doesn't show the plus sign because I had already clicked on it. But once you click on the plus sign, you'll be able to add a new member, one new position. And it pretty much, this thing on the right hand corner, right hand side pops up, which says position details. You just put whatever you want to name them, so you can be member, customer experience manager, anything you want. Make sure the start date is pretty much, you can do it from the beginning of your term to the end of your term, which is ideally, and then you can assign the member to your team. Once you do all that, they'll be able to have all the access you have. The only thing they won't be able to do is mark EPs as contact and interview until you actually assign them as a manager. Side note, you won't be able to do this until you yourself get access. So right away, the only person that'll have like total access at the beginning of your terms will be your LCP. So your LCP has to make sure to go through the same process to add you guys as VPs to have access to Expa. And as VPs, you will be the only ones that are actually able to insert EP managers to EPs. After you get access to Expa, creating an email is super simple. You just need to go to your profile, click on edit personal profile, then click on generate email address at the bottom, and then I think all you have to do is insert your password that you want, and that's it. You have an ISIC email, and you can even change what the ISIC email name is, and then click confirm, so it saves, and you have access to an ISIC email. Although as VPs, you guys don't need this. It's more for your general members. You want to make sure that all of them have an ISIC email, just because it does look a lot better when EPs are getting information from an ISIC email instead of just some random university email or personal email.
The one thing that I would say about this is when your members are creating their account, you have to hit generate password, and it comes up with a password that's a bunch of random letters and numbers. That only will pop up once. So if you generate a password and then X out of it and try to do it again, it won't allow you to create a new password, so that account won't be able to create. You won't be able to access it if you don't write down the password or copy it and immediately go to Gmail and sign in and then change your password within Gmail.
Yeah, I can testify for that. It happened to me as well as to one of my members. The only way you can get around that is by actually contacting Expa Tech Management people, and they'll help you to get a new password and do that all over again. So, yeah. All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about, it's more briefly than everything else, it's tech management. We're going to go over OGV tracking and lead nurture. Next. So when it comes to OGX tracking, it's very important. So how have you been tracking your EPs thus far? Has it been effective tracking? Have you guys been tracking at all? What should you track when it comes to your EP? And how can great tracking help benefit you and your function? Just some questions to consider while going through this. Okay, so something to consider when tracking EPs is if you don't have any effective way of tracking the mass number of people that are interested in exchange, you might lose some customers. Tracking can be used for research marketing to improve what you promote and as well as how you do that. You should be tracking EPs the minute they come on, become an open on Expa. The more precise the tracker, the better. And ideally, anyone can look at the tracker, either you or any member that you have, and know exactly where they are in the process. So pretty much you guys should know everything at any time about an EP by looking at your tracker. Next. All right, so this is a sample of my current tracker. I kind of merged with like OGT and marketing this past semester. So we have everything on this one tracker. You can use this tracker or create your own. I have a sample of it at the top. You guys will have access to this later, so you guys can take a look at that. Um, I personally like to color code everything because it just helps. So like everything's color coded, and then like I know where everything is. And if anything's in white, then I know that that EP still needs to get help in some way. Tracking is important for both EPs as well as your team, and you should also be tracking your team, which you probably spoke about in last night's call about teams. Next. All right, so lead nurturing. Lead nurturing is the process of developing a relationship with buyers at every stage of the sales funnel. And through every step of the buyer's journey, it focuses on marketing, communication efforts on listening to the needs and prospects and providing the information and answers that a customer needs. Next. So what does this have to do with tech management? Next. So how do you form these relationships with VP? Very important rules when you think about contacting EPs. You should be sending emails, phone calls, and text messages. That way you ensure that you're doing everything possible to get in contact with your EPs. For mass text message, you can consider making a broadcast list for all your EPs on WhatsApp, and then just kind of figure out a way to personalize it at the same time as sending out a mass thing. I've learned to do that through some time. It can be very helpful, especially if you have people that aren't really responding. Some people tend to be more responsive to text messages or phone calls than emails, as we all know. When it comes to emails, it can be hit or miss. A lot of times, a reason we can't get in contact with an EP is because the emails we're sending aren't getting seen by the EPs we're trying to contact. Sending emails, you don't want to make it too long or too big, because a lot of files you share might end up in spam box, or they might not read at all. So you want to make it as simple for them to understand as possible. Remember that with your initial email, the main thing you want to do is get a meeting out of it. Sending out big mass emails, you also want to make them very personalized. So you can consider using MailChimp or Mail Merger, which I personally use, and I can send up to 50 emails a day. Or if you're sending just from your email directly, don't forget to BCC everybody, because you don't want to just send the regular email or CC, because then everybody will have access to everybody's email, and some people can get upset about that. Next. All right, so questions. Okay, so Claire from, I'm not sure from where, but Claire is asking, what does MailChimp do? Denver, Claire from Denver, cool. Dylan, do you use MailChimp?
Yeah, so we actually do use MailChimp for New York City. And what we do on it is you can design different template emails, and then you can create an email list. So all you have to do is type in everybody's email and hit once, like just type them in once, and they'll automatically be on that list. So if you want, you can use that to send newsletters. So you're sending to this list every week different things. So what we usually do is we have main projects that we're promoting, like through our country partners. Another one that we do is we use it for our welcome email, where all we do is we have to add them to this list and it'll send out. So you can make your own template email and like design it. And you could also, it also helps with emailing to mass amounts of people at one time.
Yeah, my VP marketing uses MailChimp to send newsletters. You guys should be doing some sort of lead nurturing through newsletters to try to engage your EPs, either by giving them information about like future events you might be having, any meetings you might be holding, so they can go talk to you and stuff like that. Any other questions?
Hey, sorry again. It just takes me a really long time to text my questions out.
That's fine.
Yeah, but Alexis, I was wondering, you mentioned that you use WhatsApp to do mass texting. Are you able to kind of do like the BCC similar to MailChimp where they don't see everyone else's numbers with that?
Yeah, so with broadcast, they won't see anybody else's number. It's like sending an individual text, but to multiple people. So it's really good because like they don't even know it's broadcast. For them, it just looks as a regular message. So it's just like a matter of making it, when writing the text, making it sound personalized while at the same time making it to multiple people. Like, for example, like I never use any names or whatnot. I just say like, hello, how are you doing? Are you still interested on going on exchange? So that can be sent out to multiple people, but they don't know that it's being sent out to multiple people because it doesn't sound like it.
Okay, awesome. And so that's kind of good for like a non-responsive EP that maybe has responded in the past. I was just checking it out on WhatsApp, and it was
Yeah.
saying that they have to have your number in their, directory to receive the message.
Yeah, so you won't be able to send a broadcast unless they are in your contacts. They should still receive it. It'll just show as like somebody that they still don't have in their contact saved. So it'll show as like decline or accept the message. But they will be able to see the initial message when they click on it. So if you like, you would make sure like for the initial message that you send out, you want to like introduce yourself, especially if it's like the first time you're getting in contact with that person, or if it's like a mass group of EPs that you haven't contacted yet. You want to say like, hello, my name is so and so. I'm from this LC. I'm here to help you through your exchange process. I'm with Isaac.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Hi, Alexis.
Hey.
So I was wondering, can you explain again about the password in Xbox? Because I got lost for that.
Dylan, you want to?
Yeah, I can.
Generating a password.
Yeah, I can walk through it. I'm just trying to get back to the
Okay,
slide.
so when it comes to the password, like Dylan said earlier, once you click on generate email address for Isaac, it'll only show the password once. So you want to make sure that you write that down, because once you exit out or click confirm, you won't be able to see it again. So if you don't remember to save that password, you'll have to go through like this entire process of contacting tech control for Expa to be able to get another password.
But is that password for every like team member, or is it like a personal password for every team member?
That's a personal password.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all you have to do is when you go into the profile, there's under like the edit personal details part on either your profile or one of your members' profiles, this little box will pop up. And then you'll just hit generate Isaac email address. And you guys, I'm sure you have seen the Isaac email addresses. It's usually first name dot last name at Isaac.net. If there's somebody else with your exact name, there may be a number put in there. So you can copy that and you can log in through Gmail. But what you need to do first is a button that says generate password will pop up. You click that and it will give you a randomized password. So it's going to be a mix of a bunch of letters and numbers. So that will be the initial password that you'll have to log in through using Gmail. But once you get into Gmail, you can go into your account and change the password there. So you don't have to use that random password forever, but just to log in the first time.
Any other questions on anything we've covered so far, guys?
Hey, yeah, so my LCPE isn't yet on Expa, and so she can't add, Tharni and I to like the administrator part of that. Do you have any idea when the MC will have added all of the new LCPs to Expa?
Usually that happens right before like your term officially starts. So usually happens like either at WNC or like before WNC. However, since like your terms don't start until February, I'm not 100% sure. But the MC will add your LCP elects, and then your LCP will be able to add you guys. So until then, the only people that have access, like executive access, are your current VPs and your current LCP. Or at least they should.
If you want, something that I did during my transition with Amanda was she actually gave she gave me the login information for her Expa account. So anytime that I was trying to do any VP like work, I could use her Expa account. So maybe try seeing if you can work out something with your predecessor that you'd be able to use their Expa account while you're still doing things for now. So for example, if you're taking over operations for Expa, and they're just kind of advising you for the last month, but you still don't, your LCPE still isn't on Expo, maybe you could do that.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have one more question. Sorry, I'm just kind of like full of them. But I was wanting to ask you about finding contact information for LCs outside of the United States. I've heard that you can do that with Expa if you're doing like a comparison analysis. So if you know about that, could you talk on that a little bit?
Well, you mean in terms of contact, like finding specific contact information for a TN manager, for example, like an opportunity manager?
Yeah, exactly.
So the easiest way that I like to do it, and they've changed it recently, you used to only be able to do it on V1, but it is available on Expa 2.0 now. So what you can do is you can go and find the application that, like, find the opportunity that your EP applied to. So the easiest way I like to do that is by going to my EPs and clicking in, going to their application, seeing where they've applied, and then click into the actual opportunity. So at the opportunity, on the right-hand side, it'll say who the opportunity managers are. It'll be a little bubble that has either the first letter of their name or a picture if they've added it. And you can actually click directly on that bubble, and it should take you to their profile. If you scroll down a little bit, you should be able to find it there. And that will usually have any information they've put up, whether it's email or phone number. And if you can't find it that way on 2.0, what you can do on Expa V1 is if you hover over the name on the, like, that says opportunity manager, it will say their full name. And on Expa V1, you can actually search for that person, find it there, and then their contact information would be there. It's either right in the beginning on 2.0 where it tells you their personal details, or if you're on V1, all the way at the bottom right, it has their contact information.
Yeah, and
Okay.
comment on that. When you do go on like version 2 to look at the managers, the bubbles are all going to be like right next to each other. So you want to make sure like you're clicking on the person that you're trying to get, or like just make sure to click on their bubbles. Just it's really tight.
Yeah.
Because if you're like trying to get to one and then you click on another one, it's going to send you on to that one.
And you may want to look through, if it does have multiple opportunity managers, you may want to look through their profiles before contacting them. So sometimes it may be a brand new member who you're contacting and they may not know. So if it does have multiple, it could be a member, a TL, and the VP. So if you want, you can contact directly to the VP. Or sometimes it may be a national project, so it may be an MC member, or sometimes even an AI member. So just make sure you're understanding who you're messaging and if that's the right, most relevant person for you to be messaging. You can actually also find this contact information the same way for EPs. So if somebody is not answering your email, you can find the contact information by looking at their profile, and then maybe you can shoot them a text.
Okay, that's really helpful. I've used it on like opportunities portal before, looking up the TN manager. And then the other alternative side to that I wanted to ask about was I've been trying to have calls with LCs that have had like disruptive growth. And one of them is an LC called Externado in Colombia. So I was just wondering, like, how can I get information for, yeah.
Are you going to WNC?
Yeah.
So the first LCP of Isaac and Externado is actually going to be a FASI.
Awesome.
So you'd be able to talk with him directly about it. If not, you can go on version 1 and then go to committees. And you would have to go to Colombia first, and then you could go to Externado. Same way as if you're setting up your own team so that you're adding members, but this one you're just looking. And you can go in, select the year, and be able to like find the different people for the different positions. In your case, you would find the VP ICX, click on their profile, and there you go. All the contact information should be there.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think it's pretty much time to start wrapping it up. So if you guys have any questions, oh, sorry, I forgot about this. All right, so Rosie asked me to actually give you guys a little assignment to kind of test out and help you guys also kind of navigate through Expo and stuff like that. So I added this link in here that pretty much sends you to this sheet with all this information that you need to fill out. So I strongly suggest for you guys to do that to help you kind of figure out how to get, where to get information from Expo and stuff like that to fill out the needed information. And then take into consideration how many applications you've had since January and to what countries to help you to figure out what to promote and to who to promote this coming term for you.
I think Alexis hit the nail on the head there. This homework isn't just to see if you know how to use Expo. While it will help you learning how to use Expo, it also will tell you a lot about your local committee's reality. And it may be able to point out a weakness that you guys have had in terms of processing time, or like you mentioned, you can figure out one of the most popular countries that you've been sending people to. So yeah, this is definitely not just for us to test you. This is for you guys and the development of your LC as well.
Tarini, the link will be in the PowerPoint, which you guys will have access to whenever you need in the resource hub, I think that we have. However, I can also make a bit.ly that I can send to Dylan and somebody else on my NST so that they can post it on the national group chats for all of you guys. All right, and if you guys need to contact me at any time, please feel free to reach out to me at my network manager email, Facebook, WhatsApp, Snapchat, or even Instagram. If you guys have not registered for WNC yet, I strongly suggest for you guys to register, find some way to go. It's going to be an amazing conference. You'll learn so much, and it can really benefit you throughout your term by going to this conference. Make sure if you have not yet filled out your contact information in the U.S. leadership document to do so as soon as possible. And Tarini, the place that this PowerPoint as well as all other PowerPoints from the past calls and future calls will be is the third bit.ly that's right there. Also make sure to check the website ISIC, pretty much just says exactly how it's spelled right there with the dot in the middle. If you haven't already, it's a really awesome international made website for anything you might need to know ISIC related, and like the MC United States on Facebook. All right, next.
In terms of my contact information, if you do have any questions for me or about OGET, if any OGET VPs are here, you can find all of my contact information under the 2016 leadership doc. It's the same document as you guys will have, but you would just have to go over to 2016 and VP OGET.
And make sure to add Rosie as well on everything. She loves getting new followers, so just go and add her. She loves making new friends, guys. She's awesome.
Don't forget, OGET is important too. This is Amanda, the MCVP OGET. Add her on everything. Feel free to reach out to her with any comments or questions you have related to OGET.
And that concludes our call. Thank you, everybody, for coming. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us at any time. We're here to help you. I'm going to be on the NST next semester as well, so a lot of you guys will keep seeing me around.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Bye.
Take care.